They say the worst place to be during an earthquake isn't a subway, but the best place to be during an earthquake is catching air on a half pipe. That way, when you land, you just think it was your kickflip that did all this. You're like, holy f***, I nailed it. I leveled the city. Folks, welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name is Jordan Dahl.
I am Nate Balding.
And I am Roger Norquist.
Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by Monstroco Music presents the Monstrocophone, a brand new instrument envisioned in the darkest depths of an ether fit by Valdrugo, the mad composer. Designed to be played with 12 fingers and no mouth, once you have heard the sound of the Monstrocophone, you'll never hear anything ever again, because your ears will dissolve. The Monstrocophone. What was that?
So what if I don't have 12 fingers?
It's going to be difficult. They say that you should start learning the Monstrocophone pretty young.
So I'm too old
to get to develop those extra fingers and lose the mouth probably at this point. But if you are trained exclusively in the Monstrocophone, preferably by Valdrugo, the mad composer, you can become a devastating musical force in this reality.
That Valdrugo self-titled record is
wild, right?
Great.
Fucking crazy. I listened to it and my feet turned the wrong way around.
Yeah, you got Gattaca.
Yeah. Yeah, if you listen to the Valdrugo self-titled album, that is a good way to get extra fingers, for sure. They won't always be on your hands, but surprise, they're not supposed to be on your hands to play the Monstrocophone. You just need 12 fingers somewhere on your body. The total should be 12. The Monstrocophone by Monstroco Music. The total should be 12. What do we got for him this week, fellas? You want me to go first? I can go first.
You go first. You got that spice. You got that energy. I also need a drink of water.
The spice must flow. I am once again going back to my dark mother, Reddit. We should just change this podcast to Let's Read Reddit, because that is where the majority of the spooky stories are taking place, the firsthand spooky accounts that we all crave so much. This week, I found not one, but two different threads asking people when they first decided that the paranormal wasn't fake. What was it that convinced you that there are stranger things in heaven and earth than man can ever know?
When was it for you?
Nothing about this that isn't going to be terrifying.
It's going to be pretty good. And now I am going to ask you guys at the end of this. I'll give you some time to think about it. So you don't have to answer right straight away, but be ready because the question is coming. So first up, we have a post from Humanoid Encounters, which is a great subreddit for all my, what do we call ourselves? Reddit heads? Redditios? I won't say Redditor.
All of those.
Okay. This was posted by Professional Wait 6549 3 days ago, and they say, with advancement in science and modernization, not many people believe in the paranormal compared to people 100/200 years ago, often dismissing paranormal things as fiction or impossible. What incident or things deviated your perspective from a normal, mundane worldview and opened you up to the world of the paranormal?
I mean, I sort of disagree with their premise. I think
200 years ago was the industrial age when people were literally casting aside superstitions.
I dig that. A long time ago, people were still being like, "Oh, you have a toothache? Well, the devil lives in there." Oh,
yeah, but fair. They still do that.
Your daughter's a lesbian? Well, she's also a demon. They definitely still do that, but not to the point where we're having like government sanctioned witch trials and stuff.
Fair.
Unless you're talking about cancel culture. Am I right?
Anyway,
Woke
make
America
Salem great again.
Yeah, Joe Rogan, our most famous witch.
Joe Rogan for Witchmaster General. He's just going
That
around
is the way society would go.
getting people into headlocks that he thinks are witches.
A witch can get out of a headlock by Joe Rogan. He was taught by the best, and only a witch can escape.
That's how they test to see if you're a witch these days. They'll put you in a headlock, and if you're a witch, you'll get out of it. But if you're not, you'll die a good Christian death.
and if you
From
still
Joe Rogan's
feel the
smell.
pee
from the musk. Okay, fuck. Okay, so we got lots of good entries here. These are pretty freaky. Also, folks, hit us up on Twitter and let us know when you first decided the paranormal was probably a thing for you. What made you cross the threshold? Or join our Discord for the same thing. We're always talking about shit.
Put it in the sharing is fun or the happened to me channel. We'll find it.
Yes,
we'll read it. We'll be like, oh my.
Telepathically, I feel like we're here. We're the radar.
Yeah.
Tonight we all get bizarre dreams.
I had bizarre dreams last night. I bet my dreams have been fucking going off lately. I had a dream that involved. Do you remember the Rankin Bass Hobbit?
I'm going to say yes already.
The Rankin Bass Hobbit? Barely.
Yeah. It's like chip the chip the plates. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. That song was in my dream.
Nice. Diegetic or just the soundtrack playing?
It was a part of the dream.
Ooh, diegetic.
Yeah, and when I woke up, it was stuck on the Burglar Baggins part, or I was thinking Burglar Baggins, and I was instantly like, is there a burglar? And I got up and I had to check the doors and stuff, and I didn't see anybody, but I think maybe I was awakened for a reason.
What was the reason?
I don't know. Maybe I averted something.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, like he was about to like enter, and they heard because women can be burglars now too.
They heard me ranking and bassing.
Yeah,
you know.
I was like, someone's awake in there. I don't want to deal with that. That's not an easy gig.
Yeah. Anyway, strange things afoot. So the first post on this, the first reply on this post is the mod saying, generally on humanoid encounters, we require the questions to be about a humanoid encounter. Which I love. I love when people get very serious about these things. They're like, now, wait a minute.
That's not what this Reddit is for. And I am the moderator of this Reddit, and I will run it with an iron fist.
Yeah. Okay. So the first actual one in earnest is when I was about 14 years old, my mother and I went to the home of her best friend's mom, who had recently passed away. Their family offered my family a ping pong table, but we had to pick it up ourselves out of the basement.
Sure, I get it. A situation of I can't lift it or move it, but you're more than welcome to take it for free if you get it out of this house.
Yeah. I got stuck taking the front end and walking up the stairs backwards. As I reached the top steps, I looked down at my mother. Hang on. I reached the top steps. I looked down at my mother and the gray lady standing next to her.
Oh, the New York
got the
Times
goosebumps.
was there.
From my mom, as if confused or curious about she looked from my mom to me as if confused or curious about what we were doing. The lady was all shades of gray, dressed in clothing from approximately the 1890s. I am both a historian and a fashion nerd. She had her hair pinned up and topped by a small fascinator, neck-high collar, narrow sleeves with small puffed shoulders, a slim corseted bodice, and a small bustle skirt.
I'm not going to lie. I know enough about history and fashion. That was a perfect description of her for me.
Hell yeah.
That's frightening, man. I would drop the ping pong table and leave my mother to die. I would try not to. This is my mom, but like, how do you not just drop it and like throw it up or like? I got the anxiousness from that one.
Yeah, that's wild. Pretty wild. I find myself wondering more and more, how come we don't get how come ghosts are dressed in the old clothes?
Sure, not new clothes ghosts or future ghosts.
Is it perhaps because we're more accepting that ghosts are a thing these days? And if we've seen so many movies and stuff, and if you ended up as a ghost, you'd be like, oh, I am a ghost. And then you would just go on to the other side. And back then they were just like, what is this? What is this sorcery? I'm stuck in my house. No one will listen to me.
I think that is a very good theory. Go on, Nate.
Well, I was going to say also, like, if you made 25 cents an hour when you died, you cannot afford new clothes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Ken in the chat says, perhaps the newer ghosts haven't built up the energy to appear yet. Interesting.
That's also a good theory.
Maybe
Very
the ghosts
possible.
need to ferment, like a fine wine.
That is what
Wine.
Amy Allen, the only psychic medium I truly believe, hints at, is that when you die, you're a new creature on the block, if you will. And the more you survive, the more you can interact with the living.
Interesting. Like that guy in Ghost who learns how to touch things on the subway.
The ghost.
That guy's scary. There's a reply to this one that says, I once saw something similar. I rented a room in a historic Victorian house about 10 years ago. One time I saw a maid dressed in historic colonial maidwear holding a tray in my doorway. She was looking at me like she was waiting for me to order her around. She looked exhausted and miserable. I did some research, and the city's mayor used to live here. He was an invalid and didn't leave his room very often. Spooky.
Wait, the mayor was an invalid?
Yeah.
Nice.
But he would still like mayor from his bed. They would bring him the sash and he would be like, oh, mayor. That's, I think the scariest part about that is that this maid is still doing her job hundreds of years after she died.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You
deserve rest.
I want rest. I want to be a proper intelligent haunting.
Somebody help that ghost. Yeah, I mean, I would. Don't get me wrong.
That's what I want.
I would haunt for a little while, until it got old. But, if it's shit like this where you're just trapped, doing the same thing over and over again,
yeah, that monotony is gonna suck.
Boy. Yeah, not a good time.
If you only made 25 cents an hour.
Yeah, for real. You're not going to be able to afford a ticket to the afterlife,
which cost a course about a $3.50.
2 pennies, I believe.
Yeah, it's a 6-figure trip.
Okay, the next one. Oh boy, this one is long. This was posted 3 days ago by Kelly Elise 515. The first one was by Commandant Skip. I'll start with the most recent. My best friend died unexpectedly, and weird things started happening. I regret not writing it down when it happened, but my daughter and her dad were in my attic going through his things packed up there. Later, I went to bed and discovered a quilt laying on my bed I had never seen before. I figured they pulled it out of the attic and gave it to me. The next day,
already frightening goosebumps.
The next day I mentioned it and their mouths dropped as no one had removed the quilt from the attic. A couple of years later, my ex passed away in my driveway after we had arrived home after we drove to his sister's funeral in another state. Oof.
Oh my.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's
our sympathies go out to you, but are you cursed?
We're not saying maybe it's you, but maybe it's you. Just
maybe it's you on this one. Like, so maybe it was Jordan earlier.
Yeah. After he passed, After he passed, I kept experiencing all kinds of weird stuff. I always keep a bottle of water next to the bed, and the bottles would creak and snap continuously while I lay in bed reading. That's interesting.
That's a weird coincidence.
Pressure, but even the pressure changes in the house is a little strange.
It wouldn't happen so consistently. I don't know. If it stops happening in a season, then that's the pressure. But if it happens regardless of season, then that's weirder.
No, it wasn't expanding and contraction.
Okay, well, you thought about that.
Then something would bump into my bed hard. Nothing there. I would feel someone sit on my bed. I'm wide awake and I see nothing. I'd feel someone touching me, petting my head, etc. Okay. I just kept telling myself it was nothing until my adult autistic son started busting into my room at night, absolutely terrified. Someone hit him in the back, grabbed his arm, pulled his blanket off, etc. I will never forget the terror on his face. Every single night, I was pissed. I screamed for it to get out, burned sage, put salt down, whatever I found online that was supposed to work, and did it for a day or two, and then back to the harassment. Oh, and it worked for a day or two. And then back to the harassment. Interesting.
Goodness. Well, I don't.
No, this is a demonic presence.
Yeah, it's strange that, like, did her husband not like this kid? Or maybe, I could see a situation where, like, the kid can see him and he doesn't want to talk about it because he thinks he'll get in trouble or something, or he thinks that it's strange, and the husband gets frustrated, so he's trying to get this kid to talk about it, but I don't know.
It's frightening to have this as like your first paranormal experience that makes you believe. I could not imagine being well adjusted after this one.
They say, how do you fix something like this? So I posted the story online asking for help. A guy offered to help me and requested pictures of where the activity was happening. I provide them. He got back to me and told me my friend and ex-husband had attachments. They were both alcoholics/addicts. Okay.
Party.
He moved them on. Peace and quiet for a couple of months, and then it starts up again. I ended up contacting this guy 3 times, and he told me that I was astral projecting in my sleep. Wow. Victim blame much.
I might be misunderstanding. Like, you're projected. You are the ghost.
Yeah, he gave her the old maybe it's you. Astral projecting my sleep, and these low vibrational entities would be attracted to my light and follow me home. He told me it would continue to happen, so I had to learn to move them on. Like a year later, I ran into him on another forum, and I mentioned that I never learned how to move them on. He did something because we've never had another encounter, and it's been like 4 or 5 years. Wow, interesting.
Very interesting.
Okay. Next one. This is French Toast Bird responds. A few things, really. One time I was poked in my room while laying in bed. Hey, me too.
Nice.
Next up.
Maybe one day I won't be a virgin too.
And then you can make jokes like that. Evergreen, hilarious jokes like that. My back was to the window and my cat was not in the room because I would have heard his collar jingling. I turned around and saw nothing. Another time I woke up in the middle of the night to a figure at the end of my bed with no face. Ooh. I turned over, and when I realized what I saw, I sat up and she was gone. The most compelling is when my sister and I both heard screaming for help in the woods. I heard a woman and she heard a little girl. What was weird was she was screaming in English in Germany. The voice stopped abruptly, and we turned and ran. What do we say when we hear something in the woods?
Ignore it.
Get your gun. It's time to go hunting.
No, you didn't.
What is that? That's Appalachian, right?
Yep. I'm hearing more and more theories that pale crawlers. You know about these pale crawlers?
Didn't I talk about them last week? I do believe, or at least creature.
We talk about them quite often.
It's come up.
I'm hearing more and more theories that these things, part of their hunting strategy is this mimicry, which is fucking terrifying.
But that's like fey creatures.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it is a hunting tactic for a lot of animals, that mimicry. We talked about it too, to where it's right. To attract the species is also to hunt it. If you come towards me, I have to do less work.
It's all coming back to me. Meow.
If you're a cat that wants to kill a man, pretend to be a woman screaming.
I would prefer giggling, but yes.
Either way.
A woman would get me. I'd be like, what's that woman over there? I'm a man.
I spell M-A-N. Next up is S. Johnson 0487. A few things. The first thing being a shadow child run across the hall in front of me while I was on the toilet taking a pee.
Ooh, sits to pee.
Like that at all.
You're not trustworthy.
Why is the door open?
I only trust me. Yeah, why is the door open? Why are you sitting to pee?
It was just them in their home.
I don't trust them. I only trust people that stand to pee, both men and women.
And the second one was my garage shelves collapse and shake the connecting wall just to go out and check and see that everything was stable and in place. The third was hearing 2 knocks from inside my closed closet door while alone in the house. I've had dozens of experiences, but these are the most memorable. All right, we'll do one from this and then we'll move on to the next one.
I'm an apartment man. Yes. But that sounds like it could be neighbors unless you were like, a house.
Yeah. And the neighbor, the only thing next door was a graveyard.
Well, then you're definitely haunted, sir.
Unless it's a Frogger.
It could be a Frogger.
Just coming out the walls.
Living in the walls.
We had a Frogger. Did I tell you guys?
Really?
No. What the fuck?
We'll talk about it later.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they can't get in anymore, but
what?
They were living.
In your house?
In the walls, in the building, yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Why? How has this not come up?
Because it just happened and we just fixed the so our building was easy to break into and we had an attic and that's where they're living, inside the walls between stuff.
Wow, terrifying. Did you hear anything?
Yeah, he said hello. We were all like, who is this guy?
The fuck
out of segment. Right now.
I swear.
While you were in your home?
So my apartment, this is a building broken up into many apartments.
Yikes.
And we've all were like, where does this guy live? And then one morning one of my neighbors on the HOA got the news and he was all like, I live on the 4th floor, and that's what was fishy to her because we're a 2-floor building.
Interesting.
So then I got new locks and we locked the attic.
Okay. This is from one old guy, 1950. He says,
I love that.
I have 3. As a teen, I used a handheld pendulum to answer party questions by its swing. Around 80% right. Scared me. It always felt like someone was watching over my shoulder while it worked. I asked whatever made me do it that it no longer have this gift, and I just stopped using it. This introduced me, but as a 20-year-old, I dreamed 20 minutes of the next day, including a bike wreck and surgery until I was released. Wow.
Shouldn't have gone on that bike, I guess.
Yeah, why didn't you listen to yourself? Always listen to your intuition.
I thought about this daily, but realized we have no power to control or understand the rift in time. Okay, now I was wondering, in my 50s, with a full ice bucket from down the corridor, I saw a ghost porter leaving our stateroom with his tray. Go across the hall into another room on the Queen Mary. I only realized it was a ghost later when I asked my partner what she had ordered. She hadn't ordered. There was no food in the room. The door had never opened. I checked outside the door, and there was only a wall. Didn't scare me, but I knew it was paranormal.
Dude, that's the fear I have going on vacation at all is getting myself into a haunted hotel situation. Because I would get scared. I'd be like, well, we're leaving.
It's always a possibility.
It is, man.
I've been in some weird hotel rooms.
Don't get on a ghost ship.
But they're so cheap.
It's like $6 to the nickel.
Sometimes they'll pay you.
Thing? Yeah, they pay you to go.
This is one more post.
They need more ghosts.
By Organic Turnip 6119. They posted this to the Paranormal subreddit, who I've talked shit about in the past, but these are fun. 4 days ago, and the top comment we will read. This is from Classy Up the Assy.
American hero.
Absolutely. They say
whoever this is, that's fantastic.
Yes. They say, when I grew up in a haunted apartment. Later on as an adult, I discovered the apartment was built in 1901. First incident, I was in the bathtub getting drowned by a ghost. I was like 5 years old. No one was in the bathroom with me. I dunked my head in the water and I felt a person shoving my head to the bottom of the tub. Yikes.
I've heard of these tales, yep.
It felt like someone was trying to take my life. I used all of my strength to try and push myself up, but I gave up and couldn't push up at all. I thought, this is how I die. This lasted for maybe 10 to 15 seconds. Then in an instant, I was freed from whatever was holding me down. I screamed for my dad, who was in the other room, for a moment, and told him what had happened. He didn't believe me, and he thought I was making it all up, as I was only 5. I remember that incident clearly, as if it was yesterday. Scary. Pretty scary.
Yeah.
Same apartment. I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. I was coloring in my room on my bed. I was throwing balled up paper on the floor whenever I felt like I messed up and wanted to start over again on a new piece of paper. Except one ball of paper got tossed back up to me on my bed. No one was in my room. I froze and couldn't move for like 10 minutes. I was terrified that someone was in my room. I eventually jumped off my bed and realized that no one was there and ran to the kitchen where my mom was. Of course, she didn't believe me. Believe your kids, y'all.
Years later, hate that. Just thrown up on the bed.
Very spooky. Years later, we aren't living at the apartment anymore and asked my mom if anything paranormal happened to her there. She said something did happen to her. She once felt something putting pressure on her body while she was doing dishes. She said she prayed and the pressure went away immediately. I believe my mom didn't want to engage with my experiences while it was happening as a young child for my own sanity and fear of living in that apartment, so she brushed it off during the time we lived there. I often felt scared growing up in that old apartment as a child and felt like someone or something was watching me. That place was eerie at times. I never wanted to be alone in any room in that place.
Oh, the ghost of your father wanted to fuck me.
Mm-hmm.
Right over the kitchen table.
And I did. And that's where you came from, ghost boy. So there you have it. That's some people's first forays into the world of the Paranormans. Now, I ask you, gentle werewolfioids, what was it that made you believe?
Hit us with it, Nate. I'm going to go beatbox for you.
Oh boy.
I'll stop.
Stop. Thank you. I don't know. I have a handful of
but what was the first one?
Very young experiences. I think I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I had I guess a dream, but it felt real.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the devil. Like in film frames falling down the side of my wall next to my bed. And then he walked out of my it wasn't, I don't know.
He walked like out of the wall?
No, just into my room, but through a door that wasn't there.
Huh. Crazy.
I wanted to say it was my closet, but I didn't have a closet.
Sure. Except for, infernal purposes.
Well, yeah, I always have my hell closet.
And purposes. How about you, Pigman?
That one was horrifying. Mine is also young in an apartment. I was about How old would I have been? 10 ish. And I wake up out of nowhere. Everyone's asleep. I'm bunk bedding with my brother. My brother's down below. I'm top bunk because I'm oldest brother.
Mm-hmm.
I was also in a bunk bed.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I see this blue, what I think is a blue light on by my bedroom door.
Mm-hmm.
And I look around and the light's not coming from anything. It's then like apparently like a fog or something. Like it's a very well lit fog or something that I think is a light. And then I realized that this is like making its own light. Like light's not shining in through the window.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hear a blood curdling scream, just like crazy loud. And I'm the only one that hears it. My brother doesn't wake up. My mom and dad don't wake up. And that's the one that makes me go, there's something here.
Yeah.
This is also the same apartment where I saw the doll move. But that was the first time I realized the paranormal might be real. These ghosts that I seen on the dark shadows might be real.
Yes. We have a few
the doll moving might be one of the more horrifying things that I've ever.
I don't think it's all that horrifying, although I am horrified, but like other people's horror stories, I am generally scared by. I think it's because I'm desensitized by my own memory, so I'm not scared of the doll appearing behind me. It's not behind me, is it?
No, not this time.
Not occurring.
Never don't know where it is. Don't know where the doll is. I ask my mom about it every once in a while.
Does she know?
No.
Yikes.
She just says behind you.
There's a few that I have as well. Growing up, my brother saw something look into our room when we were kids, and he always seemed pretty adamant about that. But the one that was for me the first time when I was like, oh, was when I thought I saw my brother at the foot of our bed. And it was when I hit it with a flashlight, it just went away.
What if it was your brother? You would have injured your brother with the flashlight.
I would have hit him with the beam.
Oh, I thought you threw the flashlight at him.
No, I just turned it on.
Gotcha.
Hit it with the flashlight, like.
I would have threw the flashlight on it, just off, just toss a flashlight at it.
And then Liam would have been fucking mad.
Redacted would have been mad.
Gotten a big brothering in the dead of night. He would have noogied me until my head fell off. All right, well, that does it for my segment.
All right, Nate, do you want the talking skull next, or shall I grab it from the tube?
I can take it.
Take it. I shall prepare my stories 3.
All right. I have a single story. This is coming from Atlas Obscura, one of the best places of all time. And it's going to be full of me mispronouncing things. This is the life and legacy of Vietnam's sacred giant turtle.
Ooh, they don't have an alphabet anymore because of the French.
The French
Vietnamese, I mean.
Fucked it up.
Yes. Anyway, Ken Burns' documentary on the Vietnam War starts in the first French oppression in the 1700s.
This takes place at a little earlier. There's a legend that Vietnamese children learn in school about one of their country's most revered heroes, a magic sword and a giant turtle. As the tale goes, a 15th century landowner known as, and here we go.
You got
Lei
this.
Loi. Kind of, maybe. Gained strength from a heaven-sent blade and drove out the occupying Ming army. Armory? Army. Harmony. That's what they brought. Crowned emperor, he later went boating on a lake in present-day Hanoi, but his leisurely trip was interrupted by a large golden turtle that had emerged from the water to retrieve the weapon.
There's all like, weapon, please. Opened its mouth. Yeah,
I assume. There's not a ton that turtles can do.
No, I love them. They can't do much, but they're scary when they slowly run at you.
Laloy renamed the lake today a famous Hanoi landmark. Hoon Kim?
Not far off.
Or Lake of the Returned Sword. The blade was never seen again, but the sacred Shalonian, here's your thesaurus, today known as the Hoon Kim turtle, is the golden turtle and has maintained a curious high-profile presence in Vietnam. A symbol of the country's independence and longevity, even seen as a deity that has protected the capital. We don't know if that's North or South Vietnam, but what have you.
There's only one Vietnam, baby.
East.
I call it Cambodia.
Oh, you don't call it Laos?
Not anymore.
The turtle is immortalized in art and architecture around Hanoi. Thap Rua, or Tortoise Tower, is a late 19th century building that sits on an islet in Han Kim Lake. Nearby is Gokson Temple. There's an NG in there that I don't know how to do.
It's a weird sound, but depending on where it is. I tried to learn Vietnamese in high school from all my friends, but it turned out to be quite different than everything I was ever taught.
Yeah. And of course, the French fucked it up.
And then the French came here.
Boy, don't they always.
Featuring a magnificent entrance with a relief of the Han Kim's turtle swinging away, sword on its back. So this is essentially the Vietnamese Loch Ness monster.
I love it. Every country, every culture needs a Loch Ness monster.
And it stole a magic sword.
So this is the most powerful Loch Ness monster.
It's of all the Loch Nesses, this one might be the best. And it's a turtle. Many Vietnamese believe the urban myth is kept alive to delight tourists.
I'm on board, man. How many Vietnamese dollars do you want?
However, anecdotal accounts of giant turtle sightings increased over the past few decades. So people are seeing this thing.
Or is it like the mayor of that Russian town dressing up like the turtle to increase American Vietnamese tourism?
That definitely could be the case. According to biologist Matthew B. Petalham, however, quote, some who saw it said it was a monstrous turtle. Some even said it was the golden turtle itself. And that's from 2012, but recent enough to be like, okay, people are seeing something.
Oh yeah, anything past 2000 with mysterious creatures or like sightings of ancient legendary creatures, I'm amazed by. Like that's modern times with people with typically phones with cameras of some sort and very decent home cameras for home use.
And this lake actually has a weird history of having reptiles die on its shore. In 1967, a 550-pound, 7-foot-long male turtle climbed to the shore and died.
Oh, geez.
Which is fucking gigantic. It was, of course, preserved and placed in a glass box in the, again, it's an NG that I can't pronounce, Gonsong Temple.
I think it's just
depending on where it is in the word. But yes, it is just that sound.
That's what I've been saying anyway.
My best friend in high school's name was Win.
Yes.
Nguyen. But we all have a friend who does not pronounce it like that, I believe.
And his name is Christian Slater.
He's a Nagoyan fan and he refuses to change.
So this thing was it was put into a temple behind glass with a plaque noting that it's more than 500 years old, suggesting that it could be the golden turtle. Another giant was captured on camera, actually, for the first time in 1998. The fuzzy footage aired on television set the capital abuzz, as one headline reads.
Not since the Vietnam War has Ho Chi Minh City been so excited to see.
And so abuzz with activity.
In 2000, believing the turtles in the lake could be a new species, which doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
They're kind of one of the oldest ones. Biologist Han Dinduk, a professor at Hanoi National University, named it Raphitis laloyaya. Maybe.
Close enough.
To honor the famous legend, 3 years later, a pair of scientists provided evidence that the creatures in the lake were actually Yangtze giant soft shell turtles.
Giant choughs.
Yeah.
Which is still crazy.
It's pretty crazy.
They're huge. Yeah, no, it's nuts no matter what.
I like whenever there people see a cryptid of some sort and a scientist comes in and they're like, not that they said this, but essentially they go, you fools, that's just a giant version of what is normally here.
You moron, that's just a giant golden turtle.
To be like, that's still very unusual.
Yeah, that's what we said it was.
Which essentially is what happened. They were able to go back to British zoologist John Edward Gray from 1873.
Good year.
Describing the same exact animal. But again, maybe the same exact turtle. It's 500 years old.
Turtle, yeah, didn't the world's oldest turtle just have a birthday or something? It's like 240 or some shit.
Yeah, they're...
No, that's the shark. Anyway, turtles live for forever.
Oh, turtles, sharks, whatever.
Turtles are forever. Like the sweet November rain.
Oh, yeah, it just had its birthday. Guess how old Jonathan is? Jonathan the tortoise.
375 years old.
All right. Well, now you went so high, this is going to sound bad.
Oh, boy.
191.
Oh, wow. That's still pretty good,
insane still. Yeah.
With he could be older is what the scientists say. They don't know. There's not an accurate way to age turtles.
This teenage turtle just turned 200. So far from golden, these specimens are olive green with yellow speckled faces and hog-like snouts.
Oh, I know these guys. I've seen these guys.
Yeah, they're beavers.
Yeah.
Once found throughout the Red River Delta and rivers in southern China and North Vietnam, only 4 are currently known to exist due to habitat loss and hunting for consumption.
Oh boy. People love that turtle mane.
I guess, man. I've had it. It's meat.
I can't imagine they're incredibly delicious or anything.
No, fucking if Shredder likes it, it can't be.
Shredder's not trying to eat the turtles.
I have had turtle, but it's not this turtle that I've eaten. But
are you a wild game hunter?
Yeah, I got Cajun family. What of it?
I like the idea that Shredder famously would say, "Tonight we dine on turtle soup." I like the idea that the rest of the Foot Clan were like, "You don't think he's really gonna eat them, right? If we get a hold of one." If we get a hold of one, are we going to have to eat this fucking mutant turtle?
Like Bebop and Rocksteady are like, I kind of want pizza. Can we get pizza tonight?
Yeah.
Sorry, you just put a whole new idea in my head that I'm going to have to deal with.
Turtle meat pizza. Turtle meat pizza.
Get to us, Pizza Hut. You know the number. 1-800-WEREWOLF RAD.
Which is still too many numbers.
God damn it. I thought I was close.
So anyway, only 4 of these giant ass turtles still exist. And 2 of them have been seen, and it is a male and female, which were taken into a zoo, but have not mated.
We need turtle Viagra stat.
Mm-hmm. Get them turtle hogs working.
Unfortunately, the fortuitous sightings at Han Kim Lake ended in January 19th of 2016 when the last turtle resident died.
Oh, so it had a sad ending.
I mean, I still believe. I believe in the nature.
I mean, someday the last turtle will die.
I mean, they might. There's still 4 of them.
I guess so.
Just not in this lake. This one, known as Kuriel, or great-grandfather turtle, was the most famous of its kind and for the most of its life, rather elusive. A lot of people, this is a quote, a lot of people didn't believe it was really there, says Timothy McCormick, director of the Asian Turtle Program, a Hanoi-based conservation organization. They thought it was a legend. It's quite secretive. It would spend a lot of time under the water, making it not at all that easy to find.
And they don't need air for a while. Like it's just like one breath and I'm good for a day and a half type shit. Yeah.
They just dig down. If I understand underwater correctly, they walk along the bottom finding big bubbles of oxygen whenever the music starts going.
Yes.
Whip, 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 whip,
Yes.
whip, 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 whip.
And then they breathe it, and then it's all good again for another 7 hours or so.
But they gotta do it fast.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast. That's what they say.
I mean, that's essentially the sacred giant turtle.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Sacred giant turtle, folks.
Of Vietnam.
Sacred giant turtle, huh?
Then, if that concludes your segment, I shall take the skull from you.
Please.
And we are going to enter the world of Zozo, the famed Ouija board demon haunting the kids.
Oh boy, this fucking clown.
I bought a book recently called The Zozo.
Please don't tell them I said
that. The Zozo Phenomenon. And we're going to go into it. But first, I have from within the text bookmarked some strange encounters.
If you read this backwards, I'm turning this fucking off.
I swear I will I will turn this podcast around and we'll go back to 2008.
All right. Well, let's see what happens. I'm just going to read the accounts that they have collected. The author of this, let me go to it so I can we'll do this next time. I'll put it in the thingy bobbers. I don't know how this Amazon Kindle book shit works, okay? It's written by Darren Evans. I figured it out. And Rosemary Ellen Guiley? Let's go with Guiley.
Sure.
The first encounter is called Blood Red. Mother concerned from a comms account. Oh, nope. Started reading it backwards. Let's
I swan John.
Mr.
Norquist.
I swiped Zozo away. Let's read it correctly, not summoning the dark one.
Unbelievable, this guy.
So this comes from a concerned mother. This happened to my daughter, starting when she was 12. Her friends had watched some Zozo videos on the YouTube while on a educational trip to Washington, D.C.
Wait, PBS stands for Pazuzu?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Pabuzu.
The girls were all staying in one hotel room, and the adult chaperones, as her mom, I was also a chaperone, were in a different room. One of the girls got the idea that they would try to communicate with Zozo, although they did not have a Ouija board. All the girls sat in a circle in a dark room, and one of them said, "If Zozo is here, show us a sign of something red."
And then a naked guy walks out of a closet.
Nice. This might be.
Wait, why is he red?
Yeah.
Why is he all red?
Don't worry why there's jam on him.
Oh, God. He looks so raw and sunburned.
So they didn't have a Ouija board, and they said, "If Zozo is here, show us a sign of something red." At that moment, my daughter got a terrible nosebleed, which took several minutes to stop.
Crazy.
All the girls were shaken up, but they tried to get some sleep since we had a busy day the next day. I would also stop immediately and be like, "We fucked around too much. Everyone just go to your bed.
We done fucked around.
We don't tell our parents. This didn't happen. Zozo, shut up. Okay."
Yowza.
My daughter was lying in bed with her friend, and her friend started shaking in her sleep very violently, almost like a seizure.
Yikes.
The girls woke up her friend and ran to get a chaperone,
Oh boy.
Who is also a nurse.
She managed to
zoozing out. She managed to calm this girl down, but her eyes were very glassy, like she didn't seem herself.
Oh boy.
Definitely a medical condition going on here.
Yeah, that's some kind of a seizure.
The girls tried to sleep again, but all claim to have seen upside down crosses on the wall.
What?
And an apparition of a girl with braided hair who was wearing a dirty white dress.
Whoa.
Are you saying they became gay?
Yeah, but in the actual bad way, to where demons are involved and someone had a seizure.
Like many a sleepover ends. This one ends with people realizing they're gay.
Some did, some didn't. You gotta see though. You don't know.
Gotta find
out until the crosses are upside down on the wall and the braided girl. What did she do? Sing of horror? Oh, just wearing a dirty white dress. That's not too bad. After we returned home, my daughter started complaining of dark shadows dark shadows fleeting around in the ceiling corners of her bedroom, and she claimed to hear a voice call her name. I gave her a font of holy water for her bedroom. Is that the little vial thing? They're called fonts.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, gave her a little bit of holy water.
And font is short for fountain. I don't think it's a font of holy water would be like spraying the entire room down.
All right, like a little good spraying of holy water. I suggest you do it regardless of your religion. Go to your local Catholic church, bring in a spray bottle, ask the priest to fill it up. I think it's free. If not, tip your priest if you're taking holy water from them. And then spray your room.
They're not making no money.
At this point, I didn't really believe anything real was happening, but I thought the holy water and the prayers might help with that. But I did think it was an overactive imagination. A few months later, my daughter had an extensive surgery to repair her ACL and meniscus in her right knee. Before the surgery, she complained of the shadow activity intensifying. Again, I blew it off. What should have been a routine surgery became a nightmare. Although the doctor was top-notch, she developed an extremely rare infection. Odds are 1 in 1,000. That's not extremely rare, but it is rare. I won't debate that. Despite her constant fever and numerous trips to the ER, it wasn't detected until 3 weeks after first appearing. The ER docs misread her lab report. It took her pediatrician noticing the abnormal high CRP levels to know she had a serious problem. All the while, she was seeing these shadows. She ended up being admitted to the emergency room. The doctor had to flush her knee with a lot of antibiotics. It was very infected, it reads like. I'm going to skip some of that. At this point, we put her name on our parish prayer list and had many people, including everyone at the Catholic school she attends, praying for her. Sounds like you forced them.
It really does.
She had
How else are you going to cure demon knee?
You bring a gun and you force them to pray. I guess you might have. Is there another way to motivate people other than fear?
What? I'm searching.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Positive reinforcement?
No, that doesn't make any sense.
She had an extremely rare fever reaction to the first antibiotics as well.
Oh, jeez.
Long story short, filled with medical drama, she was left with a much smaller and weaker right leg.
Oh.
And missed a month of school. Extremely sick. She did get much better.
Short leg.
However, she still sees shadows everywhere. They can't do anything about it, it seems. They keep ordering. This is in the text. I have ordered a Saint Michael medallion for her to wear, and I plan on having a priest bless her house in the near future.
That'll fix it.
That will fix it. I mean, it might, but I think you're going to need more. I think you're going to need a blunderbuss full of sage and maybe a couple shamans.
Yeah. A blunderbuss of sage.
I did love Michael Medallion in Miami Vice.
That is the first story of a Zozo encounter that does not involve a Ouija board. You do not need a Ouija board. Apparently, the Zozo's just around. If you ask, you shall receive. Oh, it skipped too many pages. So there it is. Bum ba dum ba dum. My first experience. This one is also called Dream Invasion. My first experience was in the late summer of 1988. With the end of summer approaching and the beginning of school on the horizon, the usual depression started to set in. Constantly bullied.
I started listening to Dawkins.
Just a few days before the first day of school, this is my 5th grade, I sat in my room literally terrified of the thoughts of being bullied and picked on. At bedtime, I said out loud that I wish someone could help me. And that night, I had a dream where a shadow figure who introduced himself as Zozo told me that he could help me.
Oh boy.
But in turn, I would have to help him.
Oh boy. What does he want?
Oh boy. I agreed.
Don't do that.
And asked how he could help me and stop the other kids from bullying me. And he simply said to do as I ask and it will be done. My part of the deal was to take a book.
Me an original chicken sandwich. Not the round one, the long one, the weird long one. And I want cheese and mayo and fries.
I was going to go with Treehouse, but
I like a longer chicken sandwich too.
I like those weird long sandwiches
from Burger King. Is the only thing I like from them.
The weird thing is sometimes they're good, and sometimes they are straight from hell.
We got to make them ourselves now.
Zozo style.
Yeah, Zozo style.
It's a long, loose chicken nugget.
Pingos, go to your local In-N-Out and ask for the chicken sandwich Zozo style and see what they give you.
See what happens.
So we have an agreement, a Faustian deal, I do believe this could be called. And my part of the deal was to take a book from one of my teachers and destroy it. Guaranteed, we did not receive our class schedule until the next morning. I don't know what that means to the tale, but now you guys have it. You deal with that information as you want.
Okay.
Lo and behold, the next morning, I received my schedule.
What a drag.
Yeah, was it like an ancient evil tome or like a tome filled with spells for abjuring evil forces, or was it like, fucking Catcher in the Rye? This kid.
It's well, it doesn't say, but I truly assume we're more so on the Catcher in the Rye type affair. Although there are some weird peculiarities.
I don't even want to murder Jodie Foster.
So the next morning, I received. Shut up. I received my schedule, and the teacher that Zozo spoke about was on my schedule, and I had her class after lunch. Now, this teacher, a very young and extremely religious woman, had just graduated college and accepted the position and moved to our small town 2 months earlier. I had never met her and heard of her, or like a human. I had never met her. Nope. I had never met her or heard her until that day. The day I arrived in her class 20 minutes early, I would skip recess to hide from being picked on. I was the only one in the class, and on her bookshelf was the book Zozo mentioned in my dream, exactly how he described it. A large old book with a chain clasp. I don't know if this is a typo. I took the book, placed it in my backpack, and placed that in my locker, and went and hid in the bathroom while waiting for the bell to ring to announce the recess was over. Luckily, she didn't notice.
This is also the origin story of Doctor Strange.
Truth.
No one noticed the book was missing. Now, Zozo was adamant about burning the book, and we had burn barrels where the school used to burn trash. Or they used to burn trash, I mean. So he placed it in the barrel and covered it with a few bags of trash. And my father, on schedule, burned the trash that evening. What a wild time the 80s was.
Truly.
This is insane.
That night, Zozo once again visited me in my dreams and praised me for holding up my end of the deal. He then promised that the main kid who bullied me would never bother me again. And Zozo then told me he would return in 1 year and visit me again. The next morning, we were gathered and taken to the auditorium. There, we were told that one of our classmates was hit by a car while riding his bike to school. Mm-hmm. We can all infer who the kid that was hit.
See, this is what happens when you write fucking this /fic ass bullshit. This fucking has-been hotel fanfic, trying to be edgy, dabbling with the demons.
It does have
it's
a little bit of
the name of our podcast.
What was that? And I'm not saying this isn't real. This could be real. Sometimes things are just as cliche and tropey as. That's why things are tropes, like they do happen. But this is very much like Jeff the Killer. Is that Tumblr nonsense?
Yeah. This feels like a creepypasta that some kid was like, and then we kissed, me and the demon, and Slender Man was there, and he's my boyfriend now.
But this is how a lot of the poltergeist like hauntings and curses that we talk about do roll. It's a very much a lot of too many coincidences at a certain point.
Yes,
that's the dream invasion. Yeah, 1 year later, Zozo returns is all like, "How'd I do, buddy?" and then holds up his fist for a bump, and the kid's all like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "You'll learn in the future."
He dapped it out.
Yeah. No, Zozo returns. The kid's in the hospital for 4 months, wheelchair bound after the accident.
Boy.
The book was an antique.
Straight kill. This
is
torturing this person.
Yeah. The book that the person took was an antique Catholic prayer book.
So it was a book of strange spells.
Yes, it was a book of strange spells. Zozo returns a year later. It feels so good to get this off my chest. What happened? All right, just returned a year later to literally, as I said, say, "How'd I do?" and then dap it.
Oh, that actually happened.
Apparently, just says Zozo returned a year later. I'll let our imaginations have fun with that, but apparently it was just to say, yay? No? You need more help? Did I do enough?
I would require another long chicken sandwich from Burger King. People think they just make burgers, but they have a full menu,
They do. I disagree with most of that menu.
Home of the Whopper.
So this next bit is a transcript of a Zozo encounter through a ghost box.
Oh boy.
And it goes as such. I guess human in this screenplay. Who is communicating, please?
Ooh.
And they repeat that after a sound that sounds like moaning. Who is communicating? A voice that says Jinn.
Oh.
Human says Jinn. Did you say Jinn? The voice says Jinn. Do you have a name? What is your name? Says the human. No response from the voice that just spoke. Human says, name, please. What is your name? The voice then screams, Zuzu, and then repeats it rapidly.
Yikes. Scary.
The human says, are you Zuzu? Confirm. The voice says, yes.
Okay, what's your customer number?
The human says, Zuzu, what are you doing here? The voice says, hate. The human says, hate? Who or what do you hate? Indistinguishable noise comes from the ghost box.
Yeah, I've gone to a party that sucked.
The human asks, do you hate someone in this house? The voice says, a number of expletives.
Oh boy.
The human says, you can answer questions or go. The voice continues to say countless expletives.
I'm on the side of Zuzu here.
And we curse on this show. Let me tell you that these expletives are not to be said.
Oh, okay.
No, it doesn't read it. It just says expletives.
Oh, okay. All right.
The human says, leave immediately. The voice says, no. The human says, leave immediately. The voice says, no.
Spooky.
They repeat, and no response comes from the box. Now, this supposedly, and we're in creepy pasta country. Yeah.
Pasta country.
Supposedly, this comes from a ghost hunting team that there was only one survivor after a number of unusual deaths. We're talking like Curse of Tutankhamun style unusual, to where like within reason. Jeez. But like it's unusual. Everyone dies except for the person who has the conversation with the voice, who calls themselves Zuzu.
Right.
Are you telling me Zach Baggins murdered several people?
I can't say that because we have to use allegedly.
If only.
Allegedly murdered several people.
But that is, I think, me opening the door to my Zuzu segment featuring the book, The Zuzu Phenomenon.
Zozology.
I have various things from All That's Interesting, this book from Darren Evans, a number of things I'm going to go into, but I got the old Z on the brain.
Okay, well,
there's also, check this out before we go on, a little bit of a teaser.
Okay.
The Gulf Breeze 6 incident.
Oh.
Geez. Where Zuzu supposedly makes a number of soldiers go AWOL.
Yikes. Wow, crazy. Yeah, I do want to hear about that.
Yeah,
folks, thank you for listening to another episode of Werewolf Radar. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you to our Dark Council members for your continued financial support of the show. If you would like to become a Dark Council member, you can go to patreon.com/werewolf radar. You can support us, help us keep the lights on, help us keep the radar oiled up with gargoyle blood. That's how it runs. And help us detect in werewolves all across this great world of ours. You also get an additional episode every week. You get access to cool merch. You get cool stickers and stories and all kinds of shit. Head over there. Check it out. You can check us out on Twitter. You can check us out on Twitch. You can check us out on Instagram. You can check us out on Threads. We're all over the dang internet. Shout out to Chuck from Snappy Little Numbers for our intro and outro song. And shout out to you for going to wherever podcasts are peddled and giving us 5 stars, because when you give us 5 stars, not only is it a free way to help the show, but it helps people find the show. If you give us less stars, fuck you, I guess.
Yeah, get him, Jordan. Hold him, don't hold him back, Nate.
But it's still a review. And I think that still helps us. No, it probably doesn't. Give us 5 stars. What's the problem? Don't do it as a bit. That sucks. That's a suck bit.
Weirdly, YouTube, any interaction is good.
Oh, okay. So on YouTube, any interaction is good. Okay, check us out on YouTube and just go fucking hog wild. Until next time, once again, thank you for listening. Join us as we say our sign-off line on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky.
Spaceman Joe.